Welcome everyone, this is Pilot Mules and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week we have with us Derry Adwin,
Hi, hi.
Cinders,
Hello.
Werendis,
Hello, everyone.
Calibathian,
Good evening.
and Erendis.
Hey, everybody.
Hello everyone, and today we've got a little bit of news to discuss over in the LOTRO Fund, and we will begin with world transfers, because world transfers have returned.
Oh, but oh, okay. I'll let you talk about it because I'm
Well, yes, there is that thing that probably was inevitable because we thought they were going to do something about certain practices. Yes. Anyway, concerning world transfers, the transfers are now possible between the following game worlds to other game worlds, and that is, of course, you can go from US worlds to US worlds, and European worlds to European worlds, and from legendary worlds to legendary worlds.
Yeah, that's where Calibathian is kind of groaning because she really wants to transfer from an EU server to a US server, and unfortunately, it's not going to happen.
with my
Well,
man. Yeah.
yes, that is probably the single least likely thing that's ever going to
Yeah, it
happen.
probably will never happen just because of the way the databases were coded back when the old EU people had the EU servers.
Yes.
Yes.
I cried.
I was
I
kind of
cried.
really surprised, well, not surprised, but I know that one of the reasons they were shut down was because people were using the shared items transfer to transfer over certain wallet things like the figments and motes and I don't know, whatever Ash's currency they're using currently. I can't keep track.
Yeah.
Um, and they were basically going over the cap because it was a way to exploit the fact that there's a cap on it, and you could go over cap by transferring in motes from another server, which I don't think you can. I think if you transfer now and you have excess motes, they either get lost or drop off or something. So I think that they already sort of kind of fixed. But another way that they ended up kind of sort of hopefully curbing some of that exploit is that they are now charging for shared items transfer if it's not included in a character transfer, which I guess was smart, but I'm
Yeah.
a little disappointed because that was a great way to transfer wardrobe stuff over, and I can't do it now.
Right. Yeah, that was sort of the next thing to go on to after. Yeah, that sort of the thing is that after that, of course, character transfers are $24.95. Now, I think is that the same price it was before?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so therefore, character transfers is pretty much the same price as it was before, $24.95 LOTRO points. And as Terry just talked about, shared item transfers, if you want to transfer shared item storage without transferring a character, it will be $4.95 LOTRO points. And this was to curb potential abuses of it.
This is why we can't have nice things, guys.
That's why we can't have nice things.
Because everybody has cats. No, I'm kidding. That's why I can't have nice things because I've got a goblin. One of them is a goblin. Continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Now, they are noting that character and shared items transfers from Ithil to Arnor are going to be free. And Cordovan said that they are going to be monitoring this situation because they're trying to monitor what is the desire of the player base. If they see people transferring en masse from Ithil to Anor, then it could mean that Ithil is going to go bye-bye. If they see that the populations are stable, then I think the Ithil will stay along, despite the fact that Ithil is a significantly smaller server than Anor at the possibility. So if there are enough people who like the low population, then they might just keep the server running. But they've decided to make it free, give people the opportunity to demonstrate whether they actually like playing on Ithil or all the people on Ithor are people who just want to go over to Honor. That's sort of like how the situation is right now. And of course, if a lot of people pay to get on the Ithel, then then that could be even an even more significant piece of data for them. So therefore, that's what they're going to be looking at on there, seeing how that on how that affects it. But right now, if you're on Ithel and you don't like it that it's such a low populated world, you have the option to transfer onto Honor for free.
Oh,
And
but not vice versa? That's a little weird.
well, yes, that's because apparently a lot of the requests they've been hearing from the players' database is that people apparently were requesting the ability to get off of Ithil because they felt it was dead. We'll see how, as I said, how that comes out in the future. So they are going to be monitoring that to see how the player base acts on that. And note that it is not possible to transfer from US servers to European servers or vice versa. It is also not yet possible to go from the legendary worlds of Honor or Ithil to non-legendary game worlds. So that's something to keep in mind at the moment. And I think that's pretty much it. But here's the process complete. They do give the process on completing the transfer, which is pretty much the same as it always used to be. You log into the game launcher, you select the server to transfer your character or share items from, select the characters to transfer, you select which world you want to transfer to, you confirm the transfer, and then you confirm again. Because I think it says you really want to do this for however much it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
And shared item transfers allowed for the transfer to account level items that are shared between your characters on one world to another world. These include the following: account shared currency, mithril, coins, and skirmish marks, shared storage, housing storage, wardrobe, and destiny points. Note that they do not currently have transfers working from the old worlds. In fact, them trying to get that to work is one of the things that delayed opening up transfers for as long as it did. And they finally decided they'll open up transfers now and work on getting those old worlds to being able to come up and transfer, because they never upgraded the old worlds to new database system
Well,
because
yeah, they had planned to shut them down, so
right, because they're old worlds that are. But the trouble is, of course, you still have people who may be wanting to transfer characters on it, so they're trying to
well,
find.
especially now since we've got I may have noticed a lot of people that are coming back to the game that had not played in forever, A, because content is free through the end of the month,
Yeah,
and B, everybody's home, so
yeah. So because of those two influences, there, people are hoping to be able to do this, but that's been a sticky point, and they're going. All I could say is that they're working on it, and they hope they get that solved at some point in the future, because it'd be nice for I guess those players to come and rejoin and get their characters over and all of that. Now, here are the frequently asked questions. Is shared items transfers free? Well, I think that was in the main area, but apparently a lot of people were asking it before then, so they did reiterate this. They're only free if you transfer a character from one world to the other, and if you're not doing so, 495 LOTRO points. What if I'm the leader of my kinship? They say if you're leader of the kinship, they recommend that the leader transfer first. Because what that'll do is that when the leader transfers over, it'll create a new kinship there that's put in the kin. And what happens is it'll have the name list of the characters in the kinship when you transfer over. And when you do that, that means anyone who transfers over after you do that's a member of the kin will automatically be brought back into the kin. So they recommend that the leader of the kinship transfer first. And note that bound items in your kinship house will be returned to their owners, and unbound items will be put in the kin leader's personal housing storage or escrow. Any remaining prepaid credit to unlock storage levels on the kinship house will automatically be granted upon purchase of a new kinship house on the new world. How does naming work if someone's already had their name in it? Same thing as if you go onto a server and someone has your name, but that person has not logged in for a year, you get the name and the other one gets the -1. If someone with the name has logged in within the last year, then that person has priority because they're the ones who are on the server. And that's the same way it worked when they first opened up the when they had the old servers closing up. That was the rule that they instituted for there. Which is why there are a couple of servers where there was someone called Pineleaf on there that I managed to get priority on it because the other Pineleaf was created 5 years ago and never logged in. And let's see. And of course, and they ask, why can't I transfer from one regional server to another? And as of course, existing characters in US and European worlds have a data conflict in there, as we discussed before. What happens to my personal housing? The belongings and history of ownership of your house will go with your character to the new world. This means storage capacity, upkeep payments, ownership time, and remaining grace period time will all be applied to the house you purchase on your destination world. When you log into the new world with your homeowner, you will find an in-game mail that informs you of the previous address along with the attachment of currency equal to the purchase cost of the house. All of your decorations will be placed in escrow housing storage, and characters bound items will be returned to the appropriate characters. If you already own a house in the destination world, your upkeep storage capacity and items will be granted to the existing house on the account. And what's your recommended transfer orders? To prevent confusion, we recommend that you transfer any kinship leaders first, then homeowners, then shared items, then your other characters. And remember, the shared items, do it with one of your characters, is highly recommended, or everyone else if they are going to the same world. And you can do everyone at once if they're all going to the same world. And what happened to my character on older closed game worlds? Transfers for closed game worlds are not currently available. When they're able to return transfers, we intend to make the process of transferring a character from a closed game world to an active one free. Well, that is the traditional thing on there. And what will not transfer with me? Mail does not transfer. Make sure to clear all items you wish to keep from your mailbox prior to transferring. If there is a paper item you wish to use that used to be character only, i.e., not account shared, and the paper has not logged in since the current binding was changed, any account they banked will remain with their characters and will not be transferred until the transfer of that character. Housing storage from before 2014 will not be transferred if you have not logged into your character since then, which means that if you've got housing storage on your character and you have not logged in since 2014, it is highly recommended that you log into your character first before doing the transfer. Can you transfer back to my former active game world? While you can transfer characters back at any time, you must wait 2 weeks before you can successfully transfer shared items, shared bank, and shared storage. Additionally, you cannot transfer a kinship back to a game world. Attempting to do so will fail to reform the kinship, and you will receive an item in your inventory that can be used to create a new kinship of equivalent rank. Do I need to log into a character before transferring it? You do not need to, although it is recommended that you log into the character you wish to transfer, then log out of that character prior to starting the transfer process through the game launcher. This ensures that your character is up to date, can prevent failed transfers caused by attempting to transfer a character that has not been logged in for a very long time. That sort of ties into the question a couple of points before. And what if something goes wrong? And of course, that is a link to help.stangstonegames.com. So that's our FAQ about world transfers. So we don't have everything ready yet that they want, but they decided to go with what they have so that they at least have transfers open, because apparently a lot of people have been clamoring for that. The two items that they still don't have are one from the old servers and the one from the legendary worlds. Obviously, transferring to the legendary worlds is going to be completely out due to the rules of the legendary servers, even if they do get them going in the other direction. Anybody have anything they wish to add?
Oh, I think we've pretty much covered it.
All right, then. Let's then head into a really weird one, and that is a borrower build for update 26.2. And this is the preview for the Tournament of the Twins. Oh, yippee. Essentially, this is going to be a special server. This is not going to be on the main servers. That is the most important thing for me to say before I say all this stuff, because when you say what,
Yeah.
this is going to be a special server. It's only going to be on this one server, and it's going to be for a limited time period. I don't think they've announced it yet, but I do know when they've done special event servers on DDO, they tended to be about 3 months long. So 3 to 6 months is probably going to be my estimate of how long this event will last. And the special event that I'm talking about that it's going to be on the special server only are that the sons of Elrond, Eladan, and Elrohir have begun a discussion with perhaps too much pride, and are arguing about which of them would make the greatest leader and support the greatest heroes. Once you have reached level 10, on this special server only, of course, you may take up the banner of either Eladan or Elrohir and venture forth to earn honor, completing deeds, and challenge heroes that align with your rival. Brave players can earn rewards and completing deeds, and those characters will appear in a special leaderboard. Will you rush to honor your patron by completing deeds, or will you spend your time challenging rivals? And the bullet points are
Because it's the twins. And
because
do we have
it's
a
the
third
twin.
option? Do we have a
I
third
can't-
option? I'm
I
still
can't
salty. I'm
tell
sorry.
you how
The
not
third
remotely
option is
interested
don't
in this
go.
I am. Yeah, that's option 3. Don't care.
Don't care. Stay
Just
off
don't
that
try
world.
it. I will admit to being very curious. I will probably try it out. I'm not sure which character I'm going to take yet, but I will probably try it out. So.
In fact, I am so not interested in this that I was home yesterday. It's a rare Friday that I get to stay home in the afternoon. I was home yesterday afternoon, and I actually popped into Cordovan's stream for like 5 minutes, and he said he was going to be previewing this, and I'm like, yep, nope. And I didn't even watch it. I did something else because I am not remotely interested in this. I mean, I'm sure some people will be, and that's great for them. Could not care less.
Yeah.
I'll let you know how it goes, Terry.
Yeah.
Or don't.
Yes.
Because again, don't care.
Yes.
To be honest, y'all, if this is PvP, we already have the Moors, and the Moors are like completely like just they need work.
Yeah,
So
I
why
mean,
are we doing a whole
the
new
Moors-
temporary server when we
Yeah.
can basically fix the one we have and
And
make
that.
it better and balance it? And okay, we've got PvP there. I mean, you can add things to that server. You know, we were even discussing that, like,
If you
having
want to
some.
fight other players, that's what sparring is for. We already have that mechanic, so I don't see why this is necessary. And
Oh,
yeah,
there is a
I'm
community out there who I'm pretty
I'm in
sure.
that camp. Oh, I'm sure that
Well,
there is. I
well,
think
with
they're
sparring,
nuts.
though, they can reject your desire to spar, like, and that kind of takes away some of the
Yep.
fun.
And you
When
know
you're like,
what?
I want to spar with you, and they're
If
just
you
like,
really don't want to
whatever.
spar with anybody and you're not remotely interested in it, you don't have to be on the server
Yeah,
either.
yeah. People love. Apparently, there are some people who just love ganking other people, and
Yep.
I don't mean in the Moors. They want to be able to
Oh,
gank
I
people
know
in the
there.
open world.
Yep.
Oh, there are always people like that.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
will probably try it out just so that I know what it's about, and then that will probably be
You
all
can
of
be
it.
our person to report back on this thing.
oh yes. Eh,
I'll go
Sounds
with you.
good.
I'm curious about
yeah.
how it's going to work. Even, I mean, I probably won't hardcore participate and get really serious about it, but I think it's at least something that I want to look into.
Anyway,
Right? I mean, if you think about it, sibling rivalry is a really big thing. Not so much for me. I love my siblings. But I think that it would be interesting to see that dynamic play out, and I want to know about it. And they do say curiosity killed the cat, so I am very sure my character will die many
multiple
times.
times. Yes.
But I will know more when I'm done, and then I will be able to say whether I really truly like it or whether I'm like, no, that was not a good idea. I don't think I need to ever do
Well,
that
the
again.
other thing too is it's a temporary server, so it's not going to be up all the time. So you still can't really focus all of your main efforts on this. So there's that too.
Yeah.
If
Very
I
true.
decide to get into it, they're going to have some kind of like cosmetic or horse reward for like doing stuff. Otherwise, I'll just listen in because I
Yeah.
like the Moors. I want the Moors fixed. Okay, I want it balanced
Yeah.
and fixed.
And say
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Don't.
reading one of
So
the
voting for
comments
creep
down
housing.
below
I want to work then.
with sofa pits. So I was reading the comments, and there are some people who are asking if there's going to be a reward like that that can be carried with you to the other servers and isn't just tied to that one.
Well, yeah, kind of like how they're doing on
So
Honor, where you level up to a certain point or do
Yeah.
certain achievements on Honor, and you get something like the portrait frames and stuff that are exclusive to the legendary servers that I will never get because I'm not playing on the legendary servers either.
yeah.
Right.
So
That's right. The time when I log into my character says, "Why do I keep on getting these cloaks whenever I log into a new character?" It's like, oh, that's right. I hit another level cap on Honor.
I just like how sometimes I'm looking at my screen here under known issues with talking about this, the Bull Roar update, and I happen to glance, and when I glance just a certain way under known issues, it says, Eladan or El Rohir can be canceled. And I'm like, that would make me happy. I might get involved if we can cancel them.
Oh well.
cancel the twins.
I don't think you can cancel them. You can cancel your so you can switch
can
sides,
cancel their
not like
quest.
locked into a side, which is also kind of cool. So if you're on the losing side, you can cancel it and switch to the winning side.
Well, they're gonna fix
Well, I
that
think
by the
that's one of
time
the
they
known
get
issues,
live.
though. I don't think you're going to be able to do that. I think you just have to pick and run with it.
Yeah.
Which is why you should definitely have 2 characters if they let you, and run one for each sibling.
There you go.
Yeah. There we
You can
go.
log into whichever one is
Obviously, not at the
getting
same
the time.
time, though, because that would just not be cool.
Yeah, oh, you're dual boxing on.
That would be a bad idea, and I would not do that even if my computer was capable of sustaining it, because that's not fair.
It sounds like to me that yes, if someone did that, especially if they're doing it if they were doing it in order to rack up kills for each of the 2 characters, I could say a ban will be in the offing for.
Yeah,
So
I would agree with that.
yes. The details. At level 10, approach either of the 2 Sons of Elrond, Elrohir or Eladon, who are present in both Breland and Gondoman, and ask to join their faction by accepting a quest. Once you've accepted a quest from either of the twins, you will be able to engage in combat with members of the opposing faction. You will also be able to gain honor by completing deeds throughout Eriador. Each Eriador deed completed grants you 100 points of honor, which is tracked on a leaderboard. Use used to register Use to the Register of Heroes to view the current leaderboard. Deeds complete. Oh, okay. Now I see what the uses means. Is the use meaning click on it? I guess yes. And deeds completed prior to accepting a quest from Eladan Arahir or not in the Eriador category will not count towards this score. So note then, that means completing the deeds is going to be a great use in there, but try not to complete any of your deeds before level 10. Because if you do, they
So
won't count.
get to where you have like one left to go.
Don't kill all those goblins and don't kill too many goblins before you hit level 10 when you're in Eredluine. Save that for when you hit level 10. Then at level 10, talk to
Shoot the
one of
last one.
right.
Got it. Last one.
Last one. Bing! Yes. Once you are engaged in this quest of honor, your only safe zones for members of the opposing faction are in Gondaman and Breetown, where the brothers are camped. You will also have a short buff upon reviving that prevents any combat by or against you. I would presume they meant any combat by against players, or because
Yeah. So you have time to
right.
get back
Yeah,
away
because
from whatever just killed you.
right, because I don't know how that could, because
I could have said in the game actually. We could use like a 5-second when you do your revive now. Get like 5 seconds so you can run the heck away from the stuff that just killed you instead of revive now in the middle of the 5 things that just killed you.
yeah, there is
Right?
that. Usually if I plan to revive, I try to find a quiet corner in which to die, but you don't always manage to make it or find one.
I'm going to go hide under a bush and die.
Yes.
Yes, a beautiful crawl up in the corner and die. Leave me alone, please.
Right. But it
Hand
would
me my
prevent people
blanket so I
from
may
like
pass
camping
quietly.
Just trying to fight your way
res
back from the
circles.
res is like the worst option possible. You really don't want to retreat, but then at the same time you don't have an option because you forgot to run away from the 5 things as they were killing you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like Sarissa's adventures in Gondor in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Some of those camps are just brutal still.
Yeah. During this event, you cannot gain experience points in any instance after level 10. This includes Instance Finder and Quest instances.
So no skirmishing to level up.
Yep, you are not going to level up by skirmishing. And this event is focused in Eriador with a level cap of 50. So that's the level range in which Eriador is. So no, you're not going to be leveling up into Moria and hiding in Moria or anything like that.
They really tried to think of everything. Like all of the things that people might do to like circumvent or cheat, they're like, nope, we're not gonna allow that. Nope, you can't do it this way. Nope. So those people are going to have to be very, very creative if they're going to try to game the system.
Yeah, that means you could. It sounds like you could skirmish for marks if you wanted to for any reason, but no, not for XP. You're not going to level your character quietly away from everyone else by skirmishing. And as for news and notes, they also fixed some issues, which are the news and notes section. I suspect is going to go into a point update because I think they're expecting a point update next week. So I think these news and notes things are going to be for that. The Tournament of the Twins, though, I believe is going to be a little bit further in future, especially since it's not going to hit most of the servers anyway. But as for the regular stuff, they fixed an issue preventing players from changing floor types in their Hobbit-style homes. They fixed a bug where female-styled axes would switch to male after a name change. Note, though, that this fix is not retroactive, and if you have an issue where you're the wrong gender as a result of a name change, please contact customer service. And they fixed a problem where housing decorations on yard hooks in interior spaces would disappear when being moved. And for the quest, an unexpected request, the dwarf Grimmer has had his level set to 120. And of course, the known issue that we discussed earlier, the quest you obtained from either Eladan or Eldrahir can be cancelled. This quest should not be able to be cancelled, and you should not be able to change faction. So therefore, once it goes live, they're surely going to have this fixed. So yes, no switching factions halfway, as we discussed earlier. And that's what they have in store for update for that special server. And I got the impression that there are one or two that are interested in checking in and scouting it for us, and the rest of us either don't care or or are so reviled by the idea that they don't even want to hear it. So let's head into the LOTRO Beacon, issue 161. Where we'll begin with the community spotlight, where band registrations are now open for Weatherstock 2020. And it's fortunate that Weatherstock is an online concert because we can hold them.
Be happening. Yeah.
Yes.
This may actually wind up being the biggest weather stock ever because reasons.
Yeah, let's see. I mean,
I really hope they are prepared for that because
oh
I've
yeah.
heard it's like Lag City to begin with, and it's gonna be way worse
Yeah.
if that's true.
I'm supposed to be playing in a band, and like I think is, I hope everybody watches the Twitch stream like they did Winterstock and doesn't try to go to Weatherstock.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I've done that the last couple of years because of the lag. Actually,
It's an experience, though. I mean, if you've never been to Weatherstock before, you definitely should go.
Yeah. I remember there was one year where I was watching the stream while playing on Landrival. I think I was in the Great River at the time. So I was in a completely different area from it at one time. And when I think it was when we had those people who had those runekeepers who crashed.
Oh no, the AoE effects, crash.
What?
Yeah.
People say it crashed the server. It didn't technically crash the server because it crashed the
everybody in that
subservers that were handling.
Yeah, it crashed everybody in
stuff.
that area.
Yeah, it
I
crashed
was
it.
at that one.
Right, but over in the Great River, I didn't notice a thing. It just
They nerfed those AoE circles right afterwards, by the way.
yeah. I wonder why.
You used to not have a limit of how many people you could bubble with those things, and now you do.
I'm wondering if sorry, I just totally lost my thought. It was very important too. Oh, I remember what it was. I'm wondering if as Weatherstock approaches, maybe just before it starts, like that LPN, we could do a refresher on etiquette for large events.
Yes, that would be a good idea.
Definitely we can do that. The Weatherstock concert series is the week beforehand, or the weekend before that. So we can do it like 2 weeks before Weatherstock and then reiterate it the week before.
I think that's a brilliant idea.
Rule number 1: watch the stream.
Well, if you have to be in attendance live, there is a certain etiquette to follow. It's like no cloaks, no pets, no sparkly shiny things. Minis can turn off the glowy hands because that lags the servers.
Yeah.
Be respectful. Try not to stand on mounds in front of people.
Yeah. And there are also other tips that we can give on how to improve the quality of the sound you hear while you are there. Then also we have the Purple Pipeweed Parlor Band concert series is now underway.
I was excited to see that because I love hearing Pine Leaf struggle with Purple Pipeweed Parlor Band. It cracks me up every time.
Then for the Kin Hall, the descendants of the Dunedain, or Brandywine based kinship that aims to base their lore off the movie trilogy. The kin offers rating, organized rank structures, side events like Rite in honor of Aragorn, and more. If you are looking for a kinship based on Dunedain lore, find them in game. Remember, that is on Brandywine. Now for the weekly comment. What is your favorite public area in the game?
Well, this for me varies by character.
Haha, of course.
I mean, because different characters have different areas that they really enjoy. Terry's favorite spot is Harper's Court in Dol Amroth. Just because it's really peaceful there and the music is pretty, the scenery is lovely. It was like the first time I ever got to Dol Amroth and you took the tour of the place. That was an area that wasn't as crowded as the rest of Dol Amroth because it's kind of out of the way, so it sees less traffic.
Say my favorite, regardless of the character, is the party tree in Hobbiton. Because it's always a party, and sometimes after being stuck like in Udun for ages or Mordor for ages, where everything is just dark and bleak, like you go to the party tree and there's fireworks and it's sunny usually, or if it's not sunny, it's very well lit up and there's streamers and everybody is happy and it's a party, and it is my favorite place in the game.
Well,
Yes,
House
and
Berendis usually gravitates to somewhere around the Prancing Pony to see if there's any music going on. So
I think I, as a player, really like. I cannot remember the name of it, but in Enidwythe, where I think it's Enidwythe, where the huntsman is. You know, where you have to. You know,
oh,
there,
the
there's
pristine, or
yeah.
not the pristine glade. Oh yeah,
It's either
what's
that
the name
or
of it?
it's the area right around like Calendim and Dweland, and because that's actually I think that area is like the even prettier than Lothlorien. So you know, and I play an elf, so I'm apparently that's probably blasphemous somehow, but but no, I think it's one of those two so far. I haven't seen the whole game yet though, so you know, but right now it's those two for me.
We're working on it. Actually, if Gwai's up for it after the show, we should take you on a tour of Middle Earth.
Yeah, Felagoth is pretty nice too. You'll like it.
With all the spiders.
No,
Felagoth
Felagoth
does not have spiders, although it
Felagoth
also
doesn't.
does not have snacks.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Thranduil really needs to step up his snack game.
He totally does. He needs some crackers to go with all that wine. Crackers and cheese for the
Especially
wine.
after they send you back to him for the 20th
I
time.
know.
He
I
could
mean,
take
when
pointers
every
from me.
time we go back and forth with Rivendell like 20, 100 million times, and there's always snacks there.
They have snacks on the flats in Lothlorien. And the dwarves always have good stuff to eat.
I discovered today, if anybody can go to Felagoth, talk to the forge master, the forge slash, rune master, or, because he's drunk. He thinks he's in Lothlorien. He mentions Lothlorien. He doesn't say anything about Felagoth or Mirkwood.
Really?
Really?
That is
Hilarious.
hysterical.
Whoopsie, wrong sound file, but I laugh.
Well, yeah, that occasionally
He is
happens.
closer to.
It's always
he
a
is
little
closest
strange
there
when
in
you
that
get the
court
weird.
where you go down to the wine barrels. So
Yeah, it's always funny when you get those weird sound bites. Like, are you sure you should be saying that? It's particularly noticeable where Sarissa's been in Gondor. She's been in eastern, but not really eastern. The Lossarnak area, and the male NPCs have 2 or 3 different voices. So you'll talk to them one time and they'll say one thing in one voice, and you talk to them again and it's a different male voice saying something totally different. It was very
It's
jarring for me
gaslighting.
the first time I went through there with Terry. I was like, what the heck is going on? And they haven't fixed it. So yeah, Sarissa's experiencing the same thing. She's like, are you okay? Okay, I'm just gonna back away slowly now.
Well, that's sort of like when you have those. On top of that, is it's even more jarring when you're talking to an NPC who's part of the epic. When you talk to them for the epic, they use whatever voice they use for their character specific stuff. But at other times, if you're talking to them for a regular landscape quest, then they have one of the stock
Yeah.
voiceovers, and that gets because I was talking to Harding today for. And of course, the voice changed. I talked to him. He had 2 quests for me, and one of them had one voice, and the other one had a completely different voice.
Although if I had to vote for an NPC who really, 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 really needs his own sound files, Jajax is number 1 on my list. Why are you bothering me?
Yes.
Really? Really? You pull
Uh,
out that from Bree for Jajax? Come on.
yeah.
However, if it's jarring, you can do what I do, which is just turn your volume off, and then you don't have to hear it.
But then you miss out on all the pretty music.
Right. That's why Terry will sometimes just filter out certain sound bites.
That's right. They made it so you can filter out certain specific sound thingies now. It's a pain to do it because you have to actually be recording, like there's a record feature in it, and so you have to actually be listening to all of the sounds so that you can identify, hopefully, the one sound that you're looking for that you don't want to hear. Don't do it if anybody's riding horses near you though, because there's 50,000 bazillion horse sounds that they make in about 2 horse steps. We discovered that in the buried treasure event because Calabathian was trying to filter one of the music things.
Yes, because
because that's making her nuts.
after the 20th time in a row I heard it, I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm fixing to lose my mind.
So we were trying to isolate it, and I hit the little record feature, and I was okay. And then somebody came by with horse, and the list fills up with horse sounds. It's like, really? Yeah, I actually will never you have the option because for all filtering things you have the option per character and per account. So for this particular sound things that I was filtering per account. So none of my characters will ever hear the word Devodiad ever again on Landreval. Ever.
Ooh, I have a question. Did you also filter is this your first time in Minas Tirith? Shame you couldn't see it Better Days one.
No, but that's because I haven't really spent tons of time in Minas Tirith. By about my 3rd or 4th alt through there, I will probably be doing that too. I don't do the Minas Tirith daily, so I haven't spent like the 50 whatever days in Minas Tirith.
I think it's up to 80.
I have spent lots of time in Dunland, and that Devodiad garbage drives me right up the wall every time I hear it, but I don't have to listen to it anymore. I finally isolated the last of them a couple weeks ago.
All right.
Nice.
It involves talking to lots of NPCs because there's not just one specific voice for each NPC. There's about 3 or 4, and you have to look very carefully at the naming to see what's being spit out into the. It was actually a very interesting process learning about the ins and outs of how LOTRO does sound. But yeah, it basically means you have to talk to lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of NPCs to make sure that you're not going to hear it randomly because you, for whatever reason, didn't filter out the 5,000th one or whatever.
Anyone have anything else they want to add for their favorite public areas before we go on?
Yeah, we got a little off topic. Sorry.
Since I don't hear any of that, I guess I will just finish off by saying that I will just go with the party tree. And then we can head off into the fan site news. First off, last week we had a message for Legolos.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. And then Light the Beacons has a new episode And you can click on there for Spider Moose. Spider Moose?
It's like Spider Pig, but not copyrighted.
So a spider moose
And
does
I
what
really hope they put a song with it.
a
Does
spider
whatever
moose
a moose
does
can
what a spider deuce.
Alright. And LOTRO Stream is your first stop to find LOTRO on Twitch. You could check out shows by Kaiden, Balviel, and Wayward Plane. And he also on Twitch, Druid's Fire unravels the mystery and gain quests in Wilderland. And Joe Black does a Korean language stream. And over in YouTube, Oxid the Gamer revisits the game, Casual Everything clears Remmerhat Tier 1, and Spring Mode runs in the mist. Then let's head into our screenshot of the week where Bloodborne raises his sword. In this week's screenshot, you can check out Bloodborne's Twitch channel on the link. And that is it for the weekend this week. So Terry, what is on sale?
Not really good stuff, actually.
Not good stuff.
No. I mean, I guess if you're into crafting, weekly coupon is a morale bubble potion times 5. Coupon code is bubble5 now through May 28th. And also through the 28th, you have 25% off crafting guild access, ingredient packs, crafting accelerators, rapid craft, crafting tiers, and recipe books. Yeah, so I don't do crafting, so I don't care.
Don't do crafting. Yes, that is.
I really don't. The last time I did crafting, it was with other champion, and he made a couple of essence boxes for Terry.
Well, I thought you said the last thing you did with crafting was making lunch for some of your characters.
No, that was the time before that.
Okay.
I did a huge crafting round to make lunch for the Rejects of Middle Earth group that we run occasionally on Saturdays after the podcasts, and it was so much crafting because I did full stacks for everybody of soup, superior trail food, superior cooked food based on their class, trail food based on class. But yeah, full stacks for 5-6 characters. It was a lot of crafting. No, the last time I was crafting was for making essence boxes.
Let's now head into our new player question. And who has the question for this week?
I do actually. This came up when we were kind of in the moors, but it's more of just a game wide thing. What is the significance of gear color like teal, yellow, purple, gold, etc.?
Well, those are actually various grades of equipment, but I'll have to tell you right now that my first thing to say before we talk about this is that whose idea was it to have one grade yellow and another one gold?
I don't know.
Because,
I mean, I'm
really?
right there with you, but I don't get it.
Couldn't they have two distinct colors there?
I mean, for me, it's kind of greenish. The what people call the yellow gear. I always think of it as kind of greenish, so I don't have as much trouble distinguishing.
Oh yes, but
But what colors are there? I know there's teal, but
It
I
goes
mean, is
yellow, purple, teal, and then gold.
yellow, purple, teal, and gold? Okay.
Yeah,
They
based
really
on.
missed their opportunity for hot pink.
yeah,
That's what the lower tiered gear should have been. It should have been top pink.
yeah, and that's always the problem that I have is that when is I keep on getting confused there because I've always thought of, oh, this yellowish one, that's the highest one. Oh no, why is it the lowest one? Is it higher or lower? Is it higher or lower? Of course, it that shows you I can't tell the difference between the gold and the and the yellow gear.
It is really hard to tell the difference between the yellow and the gold, but I actually what people call yellow, I always think of as green because it has a greenish cast to the background.
Yeah. I can only be happy that, well, if it dropped off the landscape, it's probably yellow. If it dropped out of a tier 3 rate, it's probably gold. Not that I ever do tier 3 rates. Anyway, anyone have any more details on this? Obviously, that they're, as you've already noticed or implied at least, we have that it represents different tiers of gears, just that one type tends to have better stats than the other one if you for the same level.
Yeah, I was about to say, are they level based? Like you're only going to get like yellow or the lowest one up to a certain level of your character, and then you'll switch over to getting a different color? Or
No,
is it based off of
there,
the type of gear?
it's the type of gear. So it's a quality thing. So you'll see all 4 colors within your level range, and it's not necessarily a specific level. It's within the level range. So it's like
Mhm.
within 5 levels or 10 levels or something like that. So uh at higher levels you might get a yellow piece that drops that's better than like a teal or blue, like a teal piece that you've been carrying around for a lower level, just because you're at finally at a higher tier. So it's level does have something to do with it in addition to the specific quality of the gear. um the more the basically the higher quality of the gear, the more and better the stats are on it. So like a yellow piece of gear, you might only have 2 stats on it, and they'll be fairly lowish. Whereas purple, you'll either still have 2 or you'll have a third, and then the 2 they'll be higher than the ones on the yellow. The teal will also be higher, and then you might have an additional one, and then like that kind
Mhm.
of thing. So that's how you can tell um, how the gears, how and why the gear is better. Um, Teal is usually what you're going to be looking for if you're doing any kind of rating
Okay.
or any difficult content whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because purple is kind of okay. Um, at higher levels, you probably shouldn't be running in yellow gear if you can help it, because the yellow gear is kind of really bad.
And probably another thing to take into account is that you're probably going to have a wider distinction of types of gear at around level capping, because that's when they start adding the raid gear and you're more likely to run into gold stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or when I say level cap, I mean either level cap or at a level that at one point was level cap. You're probably not going to run into too much gold gear that's at some random level in the middle of a leveling area.
I see.
Now, another thing you'll notice is that these days you've got 2 level numbers on gear. One of them is the minimum level to use the gear, and another one is something like an effective level or something like that. And that effective level of the gear, I think the higher quality ones, I think, usually have a higher effective level for the same minimum level.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think that's how it works, because I think that's sort of the mechanism that they put into it is the effective level of gear thing system that they use right now is, I find confusing, because why in the world why call it level? Because it makes no sense to me. But that's the way that works. But anyway, yeah, gold is the best gear. So if you got gold gear and it's of a decent level, obviously a level 65 piece of gold gear isn't going to do much compared to a level 130 piece of gear. Any other questions or any statements that anyone wishes to add?
Nope, I think we're good.
Very well, then let's into our week in Lotro. And Arendis, what were you up to?
Well, right now I'm apparently coming to you live from the party tree, so if you hear fireworks in the background, please, I'll make this quick. I went warging several times on Arkenstone this week, just trying to get more familiar with the map and the quest flow and all of that sort of stuff. I also ran the Thungelhod skirmish for the first time as part of the epic story this week. I did not die as I expected, so I take that as a success.
Oh,
Cinders, how was
oh,
your week?
did you? Actually, before you go on,
Yeah,
I was just wanting to ask, for Thungelhod, did you actually use the Velocity, or did you just decide to ignore them and
I did about half and half. I tried using it. My sense of timing is off, so they weren't always successful.
right?
Um, but I did try. I tried to skirmish responsibly, Pine Leaf.
Well, what's responsible in Thungelhod, I guess, probably depends on circumstances anyway. Now, Cinders, you're back?
I am back. So I played for hours at various points throughout the week, but I was strictly warging on Arkenstone. Uh, we we were running our wargs, and I leveled up. I went from rank 6 to rank 7 with some help from the team. But we went and we nommed all the things, and then we left. So it's been a really good way for us to do some really low key things. No storyline involved, which is nice because you don't have to try and keep track of it. You can just visit with people, which I absolutely need. It is my sanity point right now. So that is what I have been up to. Kilbathian, how about you?
Speaking of the Moors, my warg, Killian, has been getting a lot of killing blows this week, more than I have ever gotten since I started. So, in the Moors, so happy little warg dance, yay. Um, it's really cool. I mean, it just surprises me because I wasn't getting any, and all of a sudden this week it's like, we would attack like the lone hunter on top of a roof or something, like like we have in the past, and or some lone person there in the middle of Grotham, and the last swipe that takes them out, or they would bleed out after I hit them, and I would get the killing blow. And I've got this long list of people on my last 5 now that I look at, and I'm just like, 4 of those were like today. So I'm just like, yeah. Which I know that's not many to a lot of hardcore people, but for me, who like never can seem to unlag enough in big battles to do that, I'm so proud. Um, but otherwise, um, I rescued Erkson in Angmar while working through the Angmar deeds, because I'm kind of trying to work towards a mount, and I have to do certain deeds, like for the Savior of Eriador meta deed. Um, Also, I noticed doing this, related to that, for the number of severed arms and hands in Imlad Balkith, all the whites there strangely have both of their hands and arms. And I came across one today that was like a severed giant arm.
I love that
And
one.
yeah, and I'm like, where are the giants that belong to these arms? And it just suddenly kind of struck me. I was like, is Angmar just importing all of these severed arms into this place? Because where's the rest of the bodies? I mean, do they go to like Pier 51 or something and just just buy severed arms to throw out there?
Maybe
I
it's
mean,
yeah. It's like, yeah, you have to put your own giant together.
yeah, you have to put your own giant together, and we have this extra arm that just we don't know where it goes, so just I'll throw it out there, and it
Well,
just
isn't that
crawls
what
around.
happens? I mean, you get the box of parts and there's always extras.
Yeah. And finally, kind of related to that, my third thing, my main Calabathian versus Anglanthier, the treasure chest that you have to try to get there. Very tricky because you have to do hops over the death water, insta death water,
God.
um, to get to it. And they have a video on the wiki that shows you how to do it. And so I was trying that, and Calabathian 0, Anglanthier 5. and counting. Just
Not to mention it sends you all the way across the map when you die.
yes, and you're like way over here, and you're like surrounded by dwarves, and you're like, this is not where I need to be. Now I've got to go all the way back over there. So after about the fifth, sixth time, I was just like, you know what? Forget this treasure chest. I don't even need it for this need. So that was kind of my week. So Gorindus, how about you?
Well, I had 2 really intense days of lotroing with a bunch of work in between, but the happy final report, Guer has finished her herbalism deed in the northern Ithilien area and has a new horse that she's been
Yay!
riding a lot. It's a very pretty horse. On Monday, I did a bunch of running about with Sanswinda before she succumbed to the plague, whatever plague it may be.
She has not fully succumbed. She still lives.
Well,
She's in the sofa pits.
she's all verklempt on the couch. Get well, Sans. I finally we completed the Dome of the Stars together. It was kind of a Pyrrhic victory. We killed the Blade of Lebanon and its beast, and then all of the shades got us. But it completed the deed, and it got it. Ashes and Stars quest chain is out of my log finally. Then we also did a tier 1 of the Court of Saragost on Monday, and I got a couple of nice new jewelry pieces and new gauges. They were all upgrades on the gear that I had equipped. So once again, thank you, Sanswinda, for that. And then Saturday, today, evidently is kin day for me. Was on earlier this morning and helped a kinny get enough roving threats, enough brands from them to get his main hand ally now, so he should be taken care of and has to start working on those. That included all the ones in West Gondor, and I cleared out the Southern Mirkwood roving threat steed. I hadn't done those before. I also, my questing took me with my captain Baldric that I've been running with from Thelagoth to Legland and Lake Town, and now we just had arrived in Dale, and we'll start doing questing there next. Terry Adwin, what did you get up to this week?
Well, it was actually a fairly light week for me because people suck. But Moors. Terry Fluffs is slowly crawling her way to rank 9. And I also did toe in the Moors Freep side on my Berg Sarissa. Decided that being a Berg is way more satisfying than being a champion because I felt very exposed the one time I took Terry out. They kept getting like nommed on by wargs, which, we find it funny when we're on the wargs to pounce the creeps off their horses and then eat them. It's less funny when you're on the other side. I speak from painful experience because that's what happened to Terry.
Yeah.
Well, it's especially humiliating when you don't have any rank. So it's like, why are you just farming me for no reason? Because it doesn't actually really. I mean, it gives you a little bit of infamy, but not lots of infamy when you fight unranked people. So yeah, there was that. But being a Berg, having played a warg, you can sneak everywhere. So I didn't do any of the riding around that you see the Freeps do. I crept across the map in stealth. Missed my track terribly because Bergs don't have track that the wargs have. So was kind of really hoping that there were no creeps around when I popped out of stealth and talked to the mayor. And then on my way to Whore Hollow, I had kind of passed by a fight because I heard some fighty type noises and then I saw defeat messages in the chat, but I kept going rather than investigate because it was kind of a mission to talk to the mayor. And then I was making my way from the mayor. I was going to try and go up to Lugzag because you have to. There's just Freeps have a scouting the Morris quest. You have to scout all the different points. And the fight had moved from, I guess it had been at the Hithlad outpost, and it had moved over toward the bridge between Hithlad and Whore Hollow, and it was like one free person and about 7 or 8 or 9. I didn't even count how many creeps there were. It was a lot of creeps and one lone freep. And of course he's killing everything because that's what happens. Is solo freep, who knows what they're doing in the Moors, can take out like all of the creeps. I don't fight like that, so I probably won't be one of those people, but it's interesting to watch when you're not being one of the people decimated by this guy. And I was hanging out on the edges, and then I saw another warg hanging out on the edges whose health was dropping pretty rapidly. So I popped out of stealth and I stabbed him, and then I hit my hips and I ran. And I was there and gone, but I don't even think they actually saw me at all because nobody came running after me. And then the thing died, so I got renown from it. But yeah, decided that I can definitely probably eventually take. I mean, it was fun enough as a scaled up burglar because obviously I'm not at level cap on Sarissa because she's um got a disabler on, so she doesn't out level the level 100 content that's taking me 50 years to go through. But someday she'll get to level cap, and then level cap will get higher. But yeah, slow leveling out. I think the other reason why I'm okay with taking her out there is because I'm used to her dying. Because as she was coming up, she spent lots of time seeing the defeated messages. Because, as instances, she would last, I think the max was like 45 seconds she lasted in an instance with the group. So, yeah, I'm used to death on her. So it's not as humiliating as it was for Terry, who I try very hard not to die. But yeah, that was me. How about you, Pine Leaf?
For me, I'll begin on Honor, where my warden there finished up questing in the Sudcrofts, and that finished the Eastament quests, all the ones that I had in there, except for, of course, for Wildemore. So I did do the quests that tell you to go to Wildemore, and I'm just ready then for my next session there. I'll be heading into Wildemore and starting that series there. Then on Friday Night Fights, I spent much of my week this week leveling up a minstrel that I had. I started at level 25 on Friday night. I was at level 25, probably a week ago. And I spent much of the week leveling that character, so I got to level 50 because we were going to be using level 50 characters this week for Friday Night Fights, and I didn't have any characters near level 50. So I got up to level 50 just in time for that event, and we all arrived on there. And the idea here is that we were going to try to do some level 50 raids in here because we had a player there whose highest character is about level 50, and she had never done a raid before. So we thought, all right, let's try introducing her to raiding. Now we got there was one person who was still 49, so we decided to start out and with a little warm-up by doing the Fence of the Pouncing Pony so that that character could get up to level 50, and then we're going to do a regular raid in there. And now when you say that we're going to do a level 50 raid, I guess we're going to be doing Heligrod, right? Because that sounds like what raid would you think about doing to introduce someone to raiding at level 50? Anyone?
Well, yeah, Heligrod.
Yeah, Heligrod. Someone thought, oh no, we're doing the Rift.
That's not a beginner raid.
They did the Rift? Oh,
We
if I'd
did-
known, I'd have grabbed my characters.
We did the
Opposite of a
Rift.
beginner raid.
We did the Rift characters on level, because I was level 50. There were a couple others there who were 50, and I think the highest level person was high 50s in there. So we are talking about an on-level running of the Rift. We spent a little under 3 hours in there, and I was amazed that we actually managed to finish 5 bosses.
Wow.
How many are there?
9.
That is cool.
I have had groups that were well above level that we couldn't get past the first room, much less.
That's a lot of coordination, yeah.
Yeah, so I was expecting us to not be able to get very far at all when they first said we're going to try the raid. Well, okay, we will give her a baptism by fire, but we managed to do well enough that we were able to complete 5 of the bosses in that time frame. And I said approximately 3 hours. And when I say 3 hours, I'm including the time for the defense of the prancing pony that we did as a warm up. So that was, I will say, I can't say it was you can't say it was a complete successful run since we didn't get the last 4 bosses. But I will say, considering that the Friday Night Fights is a pretty casual group. So we're not exactly top level raiders or anything like this. So doing the Rift with with characters in the 50s, and I was surprised that we actually attempted it. And
Yeah, that's actually really good.
Yeah, and getting 5 of those bosses, I think, was really great. And I would say the only thing that kept us from going further is it was midnight here. It was we had someone there who lives in Nova Scotia, so you could imagine what time it
Yeah,
was.
that's the other thing about that raid is it's long.
It is definitely a long raid in there. So we are thinking that maybe someday if we can get people to agree on a Saturday, we might be able to try it or something like that. But that's sort of the tricky thing. We did have one thing where I think after the end of the 3rd boss, we had 2 people drop out, but we had 2 other people who were doing some higher level stuff beforehand who hopped onto their 50s and came in. So we were able to continue on for the next 2 bosses. But that meant that we didn't all have the same locks as a result of that. So
then you have to redo stuff.
Right. So it wasn't a case where we could see if we can get all the people together on Saturday and see if we can continue it. And on top of that also, my stout axe traced the history of an artifact, in other words, getting ready to head into the next region. And the next region is the region which I created this character to do because I wanted to do the stout axe storyline with a stout axe and see what happens, what changes in the text in it. I'll be really disappointed if things don't change. Though I've had some weird things pop up on occasion. For example, I was doing one quest at one point. When I was doing the quest where it was part of the Black Book where you're trying to refresh those in that captain, I think it was. Is either the captain who was under there where all his men went crazy because they were carrying the tainted gold, or was the person upstairs who wouldn't give his men a rest? I can't remember which one. It was right at that area. And whoever I was talking to at the time addressed me as if I were a hobbit.
What?
Yeah, he said he addressed me as one of the Parian. And I said, what? What are the Parian? What? Either he doesn't know what dwarves are, which sounds rather unlikely for Gondor,
or he just doesn't care.
Or he doesn't care what, but I don't know, but he addressed me as if I were a hobbit.
Whatever.
So I didn't know if he does that to Longbeards also, or if that was just something that he does to Stout Axes. And that was my week in LOTRO. We currently have 13 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious raid of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page. We can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find the money will be used for a podcast, for hosting your podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. And if you'd like to support us without joining Patreon, you could send the money to drac@lotrplayers.com. The Players Alliance has No emails this week. If you'd like to send us one, you can send to podcast at LOTROplayers.com. And you can also follow us on Twitter, the Players Alliance at Players Ally, LOTROplayers at LOTROplayers, Arendis at Terrendis, Piney Pip, Piney Pneal, Sendwinda at Sendwinda, Terry Edwin at Terry Edwin, Guarendis at Metashell, Calabathian at Calabathian, and Cinders at Emeraldina. The Players Alliance has 3 shows. On Mondays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News. On Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have LOTRO Players News. And XP Quest is back. You could follow at XP Quest on Twitter to follow when the show goes live. Just a warning that unlike our other 2 shows, XP Quest is not Piney friendly. You can join us for our shows at lotrplayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight, and this is Piney Noodles reminding you to socialize responsibly.